a very warm welcome to you. I'm Hayley Palmer. Great to have you here on the show with me this evening. Now, we have got a special guest for you. Yes, Pat Sharp is here, picking his favourite songs, and here's what happened when I caught up with him. Pat Sharp, it's great to have you on the show. How are you?
Well, thank you, Hayley. I'm well and I'm safe, so very kind. How are you?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Now, we're going to talk your first song, Aha, Take On Me, absolute tune.
Well, I've got a great story for you for this. This is a story to beat all stories, I think, that you've ever had anybody on with a video, because...
Is that right?
Yeah. These guys, Morton, Powell and Mags, were struggling to have their video for Take On Me played on Norwegian television, because there wasn't a channel that did it. They only had one channel back in the day, one TV channel in Norway called NRK, which is the national broadcaster like the BBC. And they literally did farming shows and a bit of news and then closed down about 9:30 at night, and that was all it was back in the 80s. And so they came to London and they did an interview on Sky Channel with me, which was the forerunner to the Sky that you're now on. When it was called Sky Channel before it became Sky TV, and it was a pan-European cable channel that was seen in 28 countries in like 50 million homes. And we did the pop music video shows called Sky Tracks, which were just like MTV, but even before MTV Europe begun. And this was I started doing that in 1982, and by the time 85 arrived and Take On Me was out, these guys had to come over to England to have an interview, to have their video shown on television, to be beamed back to Norway, to be seen by Norwegians in Norway and all over the rest of Europe. So I did the first interview with them. I was the first person to ever play that video, Take On Me.
Well, we'll let you have that one, Pat. You've got to admit, that is a good story. I haven't heard that before, so good job. Here it is, Take On Me, Aha, number 2 in 1985. Now, Pat, let's rewind a little bit, because you were the youngest ever DJ on Radio 1. How did it all start for you?
Yeah, I think I still hold that position. I think there's been a few young ones since then, but perhaps not as young as me. I was only 20, and I think I was lucky, really, Hayley. Right place, right time. And
you were really lucky.
Yeah, I was definitely lucky because, I hadn't been on the radio, not even on hospital radio, let alone local radio. And I found a manager who liked my demo tape, and he passed it on to the guys at Radio 1 because he looked after a number of Radio 1 DJs at the time. And the boss said, why don't we give him a crack? Let's get him on for a week. He can sit in and cover Steve Wright in the afternoon. So I did that when I was 20, and I'd never been on the radio. So,
Wow, you were very lucky, Pat. I've done all my little hospital radio stints, but they're actually very fun.
No, absolutely. I mean, and to be honest with you, after I finished at Radio 1, I was only there for about a year or so. I actually went and got more experience by being on every day rather than once a week.
Yeah.
And I was on a local station doing my own things, editing reels together and, doing what I should have done before I went to Radio 1. So really, it was probably wrong place, wrong time, because since then it's been downhill from there. But it's okay.
No, you don't mean that, Pat.
I plateaued out, so I'm okay. But no, to start there with an audience on my first show in those days of around about probably 16 million is quite bizarre, isn't it, for someone who's never been on the air?
Crazy times. Well, we're going to play out your next song, The Cars You Might Think. Why this song, Pat?
Well, it's not so much the song. This is actually the video. I mean, I do like the song, don't get me wrong, but the video is absolutely fantastic and years ahead of its time with some really good graphics that involve a real model. There's a girl in it who's fantastic. She's really good, but there's sort of shots with her doing things like this, and then a car comes out of her mouth and stuff, or things, as I remember.
Ooh.
There's lots going on in it. It's a very interesting video to watch, and I do find a lot of pop videos are quite dull, so I've tried to pick videos that are a good watch as well as a good listen to get on your show.
Okay, well, we all need to check out this video immediately. We'll see you on the other side. Now, Pat, I want to talk to you about Fun House because I have so many good memories from this show. I remember running home from school because I was so excited for it.
Well, I must thank you for that. So many people do. It's quite generational. Obviously, you have to be of a certain age. I mean, it was around...
I am.
There you go. It was around for a decade. And it was the #1 show, literally, for the whole time it was on, and has gone down in history, really. So I'm very lucky to have been the host for all the shows, along with the girls. They were my cheerleaders.
Yes, the lovely twins.
Yeah, and they remain friends to this day, and we had just a great time. We used to go to Scotland, and it was filmed at Scottish TV, which is the Scottish part of ITV, and we would go there for 1 week, and in 1 week we would record a whole series. So people used to say to me like, "Oh, Funhouse must keep you so busy," and I went, "No, it takes 1 week a year." That was all it was.
Oh, it's the art of TV. It's clever stuff.
Yeah.
Now, your next song, Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel. Why this song?
Well, another one, Hayley, that really is just incredible for its time with the graphics. It's probably a better video than it is a song. I mean, it's an okay song, don't get me wrong, it still gets played on the radio, but the video is absolutely amazing. The graphics and the money it must have cost to do everything that's going on here. He's literally like, there is so much going on, it'll leave you thinking you've had a trip, actually. So you'll be like, whoa, what's happening here?
Well, it's just what we want on a Saturday night. So here it is, Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel, at number 4 in 1986. Now, Pat, I want to talk to you about your pop records with Mick Brown. Now, in 1988, you teamed up with Stock Aitken and Waterman for Let's All Chant. How did all this come about?
Well, we were working at Capital Radio, myself and Mick, and the boss there, Richard, said, "I want you guys to make a song that we can play to raise money for our charity," which at the time was called Help a London Child. So we said, "Well, yeah, we can make a song, have a bit of a laugh if you want." No problem. He goes, "Oh, no, it's going to be a proper song. We're going to, it's going to be sold as a record. You're going to be pop stars." And we went, "Well, I hope they've got good equipment because we might need a little bit of help with our voices." And so Stock Aitken Waterman, who were having hits at the time with Kylie and Jason and just about anybody who's anybody, they were the biggest producers in the country and probably the world for that matter. They got us in and used their auto-tune facility to its best, so that I sounded like in tune rather than just going woo with show. It was probably my biggest.
That's me.
It was my biggest part in Let's All Chant was going woo or ooh. But we ended up having 4 or 5 hit records and an album, and we raised over £300,000 for the charity over the next 4 or 5 years. So it's quite fun to go on top of the pops and end up having, the Radio 1 DJs were introducing the Capital Radio DJs as pop stars, which I don't think they liked too much at the time. It's funny.
Yeah. Of course. Well, your other song, I Haven't Stopped Dancing Yet. I love this song, Pat. It makes me very happy. And it's true, I'm always dancing around. So please, is it all right if we play it out?
Yeah, please, if you want. But sorry about the embarrassing dancing and singing from me.
So here is the embarrassing dancing from Pat Sharp. We'll see you after.
Factory. I haven't stopped dancing yet. I haven't stopped dancing yet.
Pat, we've got a little quick fire quiz round for you here on the Memory Lane 80s shows. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, of course, whatever you like. Fire.
Woo! Let's go. Okay, favourite song of all time?
Changes every day because I always find a new one that I quite like, but I would probably say that's a really tricky one. Let me think.
Come on, Pat, we need an answer from you.
No, but no one can do this because there's hundreds in the back of people's minds. If I was going to go for a pop song that's really lasted and stood the test of time, it would be the one that we've already played. It would be Take On Me because it's a perfect pop song.
Okay, we'll let you have that. Song to play when the sun is shining. What is that tune that you're like, yes?
Okay, that would be Beach Baby by First Class.
Whoa, tune. Next on, karaoke song.
Sweet Caroline.
Brilliant. That's a good one. Driving song. What is that song? Down the Motorway. Pat Sharp with his music full blast.
ROCK in the USA by John Cougar Mellencamp.
Whoa, watch out for Pat. And motivational song. What's that song that just kind of makes you go, yeah, I'm ready for you, world?
Wow. Maybe Lonely Boy by Andrew Gold.
Oh, yeah. Cool, like that. Okay, we're going to play out your next song, which is Rio by Duran Duran. That is another good driving song, actually.
Yeah, it's a great driving song, but also it's a good sailing song, of course, as the video shows you with this with this ship, and they're all wearing suits on board a ship, and I quite like that as they're sailing. You know, if you go sailing, you'd wear almost nothing, but no, they wear suits and ties, I think, and their hair is all fully buffed because that was the 80s for Duran, but.
That wasn't. Talking of hair, I have to say I had Lamal on my show, and both you guys really rocked the hairdos in the 80s, didn't you?
Yeah, I think Lamal probably even more so than me when he was in Kajagoogoo. It was quite extraordinary. It was almost like...
We love Lamal.
It was almost like the plumage of an ostrich, wasn't it? It had just so much going on there. It was like, oh, you know.
It really is. Well, it must have taken a lot of hard work. But anyway, we're going to play out the video to Rio and enjoy. We'll see you after. Pat, I want to talk about your new book that you've got out, My Life as Pat Sharp.
Well, you say new book, only book. I've never had a book, never done a book, and we decided to do a book a few years ago, and it's a little bit different. It's you could actually take the word life, put it in brackets, and then take out the F, and it could be my lie, because it's a little bit, how shall I say, sidetracked. It's not exactly what I've done. It's not a regular autobiography. It's a side swipe at my life, which is very amusing and very tongue-in-cheek. And people can take it as they wish when they read it. But it's a lot more amusing than saying, I did this, I did that, I got that job, I got fired from that job, I then went and did this. It's a real odd look back at what I've done, but with a strange sort of viewpoint as to whether or not it's true or whether it's a lie. So it's worth a read.
Sounds good.
It's really, really amusing. I mean, I didn't write it. I contributed to it with all the stories, and then the writers, guys called Luke Catterson and Darren Richmond, they were the guys who went and turned it into the masterpiece that it is, because it states on the cover that I think you've got a picture of that it's not strictly all true. It's rerunning the fun, like Funhouse, but not in a way that is just factual. But I can't say too much more.
Oh, okay. Well, we will check that out. But thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you. Such a legend. It's Pat Sharp, everyone.
Thank you, Hayley. Thanks for having me on.
Huge thank you, Pat Sharp. Just brilliant. Thank you. And a huge thank you to you at home for supporting the show. And I love hearing from you, by the way. If I haven't heard, why not? Get in contact. Details are on the screen below. I'm Hayley Palmer. Thank you so much for joining me. I will definitely see you same time, same place next week. I'm going to leave you with an 80s classic. I'm Hayley Palmer. I'll see you then.